It was Barcelona just stole my heart. It was like, oh my God, I could live in this place. I really, really enjoy it a lot. But, of course, it was like, maybe we need to look at this again. Maybe we need to revisit moving to Europe, living in Europe. And of course, you rush back home to go back to work.
Yeah.
And, but she even started taking Spanish because we were going to move to Barcelona.
Wow.
No plan on how we were going to do it. No idea on how we were going to do it. And it's kind of like one of those things that you keep in the back of your mind so that you have something to hope for.
Mm-hmm.
But do you really deep down inside believe that it can come true?
Right.
And I can honestly say, I don't think I ever really believed that we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But keep hope alive, right?
Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Perspectives. We are on episode 7, and today we are here in Lisbon, Portugal. And I'm sitting down with two friends who I made recently here since being in Europe. We have Halisi and Ric from Our Black Utopia. They are on YouTube, Instagram, I don't know what else. Facebook. And so they've been here in Portugal for a couple of years. I'll let them introduce themselves so they can tell you a little bit about what Our Black Utopia is and what you can find on their YouTube channel.
So my name's Halisi.
And I'm Ric.
And we are Our Black Utopia. And our channel is about money, travel, and retiring abroad. We started this channel because when we started this journey, we did not see folks our age who look like us on YouTube telling folks how to do the thing if they started getting their money straight a little later in life.
Right.
Got it.
Right?
Got it. So your platform, essentially you were missing out on the representation when you were deciding to move abroad.
Exactly.
Right. Where are y'all from originally? Let's hear for the people listening back home.
I was born in Ohio, raised in California, so just outside of Los Angeles.
Okay.
But we moved from Denver, Colorado. So I'm also born and raised in LA.
Got it.
But we met through a mutual Southern California friend in Denver.
In Colorado,
yeah.
Nice, interesting. So coming from Denver, from the West Coast primarily, was retiring and moving abroad always on your agenda? We'll get into kind of your story of why you decided on Lisbon, but was travel a big part of y'all's lives together and living abroad, or was that just something that came up a couple years ago?
It came up, but it came up more than a couple of years ago. I'd say one of the first trips we took abroad was to South Africa.
Wow.
And she was, I say thesis, but it wasn't really a thesis, I don't think. Kind of. For her degree, for her MBA. And she taught at Stellenbosch University in South Africa. And our youngest son and me, we went along for the ride. Like, well, hey, we want to go to the motherland. So, and I took it upon myself to do all the filming and at the different schools and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I took the cheat way out. Instead of writing a paper, my professor allowed me to do a mini documentary.
Wow, that's really cool.
So yeah, I got to teach entrepreneurship to high schoolers.
So what was your subject matter in that field?
So MBA with an emphasis on entrepreneurship. And so the program, you had to take an international trip to get your MBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't interested in any of them. I'm like, oh gosh, and I got to, because you have to spend your own money to do this. I mean, you can use a student loan, but it's still your own money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when South Africa came up, I'm like, and teaching kids, and that was in direct line for the capstone project that I was doing, which was an entrepreneurship program that I actually did for 6 years in the States.
Interesting. Okay. And South Africa, I'm sure you enjoyed yourself and was an eye-opening trip. Before that, have y'all traveled much internationally, like as a family? There's a couple.
I mean, does Bahamas count? The Caribbean?
Mexico.
Does that really count as a North American?
Mexico,
Mexico, yeah.
No, it depends. If you leave the resort, it counts.
But
if you leave the resort, it counts.
When you're going to resorts.
Right? And plus, I was born and raised in LA, but I grew up partly in San Diego.
Okay.
It's a border town, right?
So you're right there.
So Mexico was our backyard. And it counts, but does it really?
So, okay. And what made y'all decide on Portugal? I mean, this was kind of coming out of the pandemic. When I talked to you on live, you had mentioned that you wanted to move abroad and, we're tired of things in America. So what led up to the actual, hey, we're gonna check out Portugal, Lisbon specifically, and make a move, just permanent?
Well, the first place, because we had paid a visit to Europe, we went to Barcelona, Madrid, and we also did Italy. She always gets on me how I say Italy, because I say Italy. Greece, and we did a cruise also.
Okay.
So it was Barcelona just stole my heart. It was like, oh my God, I could live in this place. I really, really enjoy it a lot. But, of course, it was like, maybe we need to look at this again. Maybe we need to revisit moving to Europe, living in Europe, And of course, you rush back home to go back to work.
Yeah.
And, but she even started taking Spanish because we were going to move to Barcelona.
Wow.
No plan on how we were going to do it. No idea on how we were going to do it. But it's kind of like one of those things that you keep in the back of your mind so that you have something to hope for. But do you really deep down inside believe that it can come true?
Right.
And I can honestly say I don't think I ever really believed that we could do it. But keep hope alive, right?
That's interesting that you bring that up, because so many folks say they want to do something, that they are going to do it in a couple of years, and especially when you put those couple of years in front of it, it's like, okay, I have time to plan it out and think through how, but is it really something that you're going to do?
Right.
And it's funny because we went to Barcelona, me and my wife. That was our first trip together.
Okay.
We were dating essentially at that time, and we were just like, hey, there's cheap flights from Atlanta. We had to take 2 layovers. It was Atlanta to New Jersey to where else did we go? We stopped somewhere, I think, in Europe, and then you get to Barcelona. We'll never do that again because we missed our return flight. But we loved Barcelona. We loved it. We were just we were just young, just hanging out and eating and staying out late on the La Ramblas, and the European life didn't really seem like a possibility to us. Especially because we went for a week and then you got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how we felt. So y'all fell in love with Barcelona, and what came after that? Did you go back to California and then start talking about it?
No, we were living in Denver, so we went back home and got back into the routine of doing things again. But I think Barcelona was still always on our mind to do. And then, of course, I don't know if you want to add what was corresponding in that time before pandemic.
Well, I was working my butt off. That's what was happening. And it's interesting because you get back into the hustle and grind, and most people are overworked and you work too many hours in the United States. And so how much effort and energy do you really have to put towards looking at it, right? But then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And Rick got furloughed.
Yeah.
And I was still working 70 hours a week, but he was furloughed and down there in his man cave.
In my man cave with my 65-inch screen, looking at all the different things. I said, how much does it cost to live in Portugal? There's a country right next door to Spain.
Yeah.
It's got to be nice. It's got to be the same, weather and But like she had brought it the other day, did we really learn a lot in geography and history about Portugal? So it was like,
no, not at all.
Okay, there's a place called Portugal. So I started looking at it, and I typed in black people in Portugal. This is how ignorant I was to the fact of not knowing that there were black people in Portugal. So I typed that in, and one of the first families that popped up was Amon and Christina of Artist Journey. And I was like, okay. So, and this is interesting. And you know, they were talking about FIRE movement and stuff like that. So I, of course, ran upstairs there and said, you got to check this young couple out. They're fantastic. They're Black and they live in Portugal.
Wait, wow. So why did you guys write off Spain? Because you said you were like looking into, okay, how much does it cost to live in Portugal after leaving Barcelona? Do you know why Spain
I think Spain was a little costlier.
And it was still on the list at the time.
And it was on the list,
yeah.
But at the time, Portugal was less expensive.
True.
But like, he came in with Portugal. I was like, I'm learning Spanish. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm like a year and a half in of private lessons. And I, at that time, with work, this was part of my therapy, like to get sane again. So I was taking four private lessons per week.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. It is. But when you pay someone, if you don't do your homework, it's like, you know. It's whatever.
Shoot yourself in. Yeah.
But I was not into that. I was not into that. So when we found Christina and Amon of Our Rich Journey, it was still, both countries were still on the list, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. And so, and they were talking about FIRE, and I wasn't interested. So FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, for those who don't know. And I just wanted to see the videos on Portugal. And I was ignoring all of the financial stuff. Meanwhile, we still did not know how we were going to make this work financially.
Yeah.
And I'm ignoring the financial education.
Yes.
Because, you know, I got this. I'll figure it out. I'll wing it.
Because a lot of our followers are wondering, you know, how do you guys like Spain? What's the difference between Spain and Portugal? Are you going to learn Portuguese? Like, there's a lot there. So
yeah, definitely.
That's interesting. So Spain was still kind of on the list, but you had somebody to refer to that was out in Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so what was the next step in that process?
So I think Christina and Amon actually did a really good job because they were also considering Spain. They had lived in Spain before. And they did a video on why Portugal over Spain. And it was very pragmatic.
Yeah.
And they talked about the tax scheme, and they talked about the visa process and the pathway to citizenship. So, and at the time, again, Madrid and Barcelona were more expensive rents. I still think it's more expensive to live in either one of those cities than it is to live in Lisbon. Having been there recently, I can say that without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree.
The rents may be a little bit less expensive, but I don't think that they are low enough to make up for the high cost of everything else.
Yeah. So Uber in Madrid for us was way more expensive. In fact, I was able to get from here for 11 euros. And like I said, I'm staying by the airport, and we haven't paid more than 20 euros to go anywhere.
We usually pay under 6.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's around €3.
Yeah.
Right? So so I got my little feelings hurt in Barcelona.
Yeah.
But so when you look at the pathway to citizenship, it's 10 years for Spain, 5 years for Portugal.
Wow.
And then at the time, the tax scheme in Portugal, you got 10 years at 0% taxes if you were on a pension or Social Security.
And they recently changed that, right?
It's 10% now.
Okay.
So I think that's in parity with Spain. But still, that pathway to citizenship is huge.
Yeah, huge. 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah.
And you have to pass the A2 level test, but they have a government-sponsored program that will allow you to take the class and not have to worry about passing a test. If you pass the class, then you don't have to take the test.
Okay.
So they really are encouraging folks.
So on paper, things looked great for Portugal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. How did you all feel? Did you guys do a scouting trip, or was that the next thing? Was like, hey, let's go see how it feels to be out there?
Yeah. So we were both still working.
Yeah.
And I surprised him for Christmas. Christina and Amon released a new program called 365 Days to FIRE. At this point, we had already eliminated all of our debt, and we were saving 65% of our income. And so when they released that course, and it wasn't inexpensive, but it was 1 year, and you got group coaching calls once a month.
Yeah.
So, and then there was a meetup in Portugal in June. So that was our goal date, right?
Perfect.
And so I did the course really just to have access to their wisdom 12 times in the year.
Yeah.
Plus you could submit your plan, which we never did. Because at that point we pretty much had it figured out. But you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
So I surprised him with it.
Yeah. Yeah. We did the course. And it was fantastic. We had set up accountability groups.
Yeah.
With other members that were taking the course and stuff throughout the world. I mean,
Yeah,
people from all over the world.
That's what I was going to ask y'all is how did y'all clear the debt? That's what everyone wants to know. And I'm sure, the course will explain in detail. Of course, your course will explain in detail as well. And the FIRE method has been around for a while.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
People use it all around the world. But I think people have the notion of in order for me to clear this debt, I'm going to have to live this in a rock lifestyle.
Yeah, I can't do
anything. Exactly. And they just scare themselves out of even looking at the debt. That's the first part is how much debt do you even have?
I have to live a boring, mundane life. And it's
cut out my favorite things, my little joys. So So it's good to hear that that's not the case.
Yeah. So our course is called Beyond the Bling, Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence, because the first step is you have to change your mind about things. Your mind. So we literally wrote a letter to the Joneses, breaking up with them, and say, we are no longer in competition with you, Joneses. Yeah. We no longer try to keep up with you, Joneses. Mm-hmm. And those twin Teslas that we thought we had to have.
Not the twin Teslas.
Yeah, we're going to get some twin Teslas.
See, for real, though.
Yeah. Because we deserve to. I mean, we worked hard.
Right? And so in our parents, it was all about the credit score and paying your bills on time.
Yeah.
With no thought about investing in future you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I can't say that we had no savings. We had a 401k, just one from my job. And we had some savings. We had $10,000 cash, right?
Yeah.
And so we weren't starting from zero, but we had so much debt that our net worth was still negative.
Right.
So we just, there's two methods. There's an avalanche and the snowball methods, mm-hmm. right? And whichever one floats your boat. I like immediate gratification.
Yeah.
So I go after the smallest debt first, and we just started tackling it. I had a spreadsheet, and I'm I had it all mapped out, and then once that's paid off, we're going to take the money from there, we're going to roll it over to there, and we're just going to keep paying off this debt. The first stimulus check that 45 sent out, we used to pay the last of our debt.
That is amazing. So within a couple, how long did that take? Do you think?
About 2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah, man, because those years go by quick anyway. They go by quick anyway. And I grew up in Canada, so I'm Canadian. My parents are Canadian and West Indian. But it wasn't until we got to America that I really saw that the American way is living off of debt.
Yep.
Right. You go to college, and the people, they come on the college campus and offer you your first credit card, or even sometimes before that. I know kids in high school who had credit cards.
Oh yeah.
And it's normal, it's become so normalized. So
and credit card, the thing with credit cards is they want you to pay the minimum payment.
Yeah.
And until Obama passed the law saying that they had to put that disclaimer on there, if you just pay the minimum payment, guess what? You're going to end up spending more money, owing more money.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, that's where they run into the problem is they don't pay themselves first. Mm-hmm. They pay everything but themselves first. And then, when it comes down to the last of the money, then they try to, well, maybe I could do this, but I saw them Jordans that I wanted to get, or, kids wanted this or the kids wanted that.
Yeah. So
that was one of the biggest things that she really, really brought to the attention of. We have to pay ourselves first.
You have to.
Because what we find out is people are really scared to see what they're spending.
Yeah.
Because then that's reality.
Exactly.
It's
you
like,
have to either address it or continue to live in the delusion.
You have to. And that's what we tell people when we have calls and stuff. And it's like, have you looked at your finances?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, not really. I just do this and I get this and my bills are paid and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but you're not looking at you're not getting an accurate picture of what's going on.
And when you have a paycheck coming in, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out later.
Exactly.
I got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the assumption is that you're always going to want to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've partnered with Blacksit Global. That's a podcast and YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're doing a summit, a Move to Portugal summit in November. It's November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2023. In case you're watching this from the future, you can still catch the replays and pay for the replays. But we have a speaker there named Libria Jones, and she is the remote worker guru. 100% remote. No, coming into the office.
Yeah.
No, 100, or you have to be in the United States.
Yeah.
Right? 100% remote. And so for those folks who still are going to need to work, there is an avenue and there is a visa for those folks. Because our expenses are cut in half living in Lisbon than versus Denver.
That is amazing.
We don't have to have a car. Mm-hmm. So right there, if you still have a car payment, we only had one car payment, but plus insurance, that's going to be at least a minimum of $500 a month.
Gas, remember gas was $3-4 a gallon?
Upkeep, anytime something went wrong, you go to. I used to swear up and down my mechanic, and he was an excellent mechanic. But every time it seemed like I took my car to get it fixed, it cost me $400.
Yeah.
$500.
I used to ask about you're going to go on vacation. You need that extra money.
Yeah, new tires.
Yeah, I'm sponsoring your vacation.
Yeah, seriously. So it's and then it costs to go to work.
Yes.
So a friend of ours brought that up to us last year. You got your dry cleaning, if you're female, you got makeup, hair, nails, all of that stuff.
And I had to wear suits every day. So
I tell people all the time, I spend more money working. I believe it. I'm buying lunch every day when I'm working because I don't have the time, especially with kids. I'm not cooking dinner. I'm tired when I get off. I spend more money working. And then with childcare, I'm spending more money to work just to pay someone to watch.
Just to pay somebody to watch.
Yeah,
the kids. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's crazy. And, another family was telling us, so that they were using HelloFresh and those kinds of services that deliver. So you cook, but everything's already, halfway prepped for you. So all you got to do is actually cook the food, right? Yeah. And she said, between, not sitters, but daycare and transportation and all of those services to make your life doable in the States, you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
If you are working remotely or have a sane work schedule, which they don't believe in the United States.
They don't.
So once we paid off the debt, that's when we were able to start saving 65% of our income. And it's, it becomes really easy when you have a goal. Mm-hmm. I remember we were in LA and we were in Nordstrom's. Coming down that elevator and the shoes are right there. Mm-hmm. All right, females, we know how we feel about Nordstrom and their shoes. Yeah. No temptation whatsoever. We're moving to Europe, y'all.
Yeah.
We're moving to Europe.
We'll say it.
Right? So, we say, every dollar that you earn should have a job. Every dollar that you earn should have a job.
Love that.
And that job was not to buy me yet another pair of shoes when I had to give away 65% of my shoes when we moved anyway.
Yeah.
And in these cobblestones, I'm not trying to wear, Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. I saw someone walking very slow down these cobblestone hills
Right?
the other day.
Right? It's no joke. And I'm not trying to get injured now that we're here.
Yeah.
So but at the end of the day, we're saving 65% of our income. And so, we tell people you got to have a healthy emergency fund because stuff happens. Mm-hmm. And, so we saved up 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years of living expenses.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you say that you after that you guys made the plan to move out to Portugal after that 2 years, did you have a goal in mind, like a number that you wanted to get to before making the leap, or was it just like, hey, we just want to feel financially free?
We did have a FIRE goal.
Okay.
And it was based upon the first FIRE goal was based upon not having Social Security.
Okay.
So
imagine if that just didn't happen for you.
Exactly.
Guys. Okay.
Which I don't know why, if you're already at Social Security age, you would do that. And that's a thing. So most FIRE folks are too young to even be close to, right? And that was another reason why we developed our course, because if you're over 50, the chances of you not getting Social Security are slim.
Yeah.
If you're 40, I don't know what's happened 20 years from now. But if you're 55 and you can start collecting at 60, it's going to be there 7 years.
It's going to be there, yeah.
Right? And so you calculate it a little bit differently, and you might as well put that in. It's about cash flow. How much money do you need to live off per month to be happy? Mm-hmm. And the notion that, okay, so all I have to do is pick a number and then just do it, just live within that.
Live within that number, yeah.
What a concept.
What a concept.
Right? I mean, so that's what Grandmama and them was talking about. Right?
Because we don't budget. Like, no one really I think you get away with not budgeting for so long that you forget even that you have to or that you should be. Exactly. That's what it was for me.
Exactly. And then some of it truly is mindset and putting that energy out there.
Yeah.
So we are on what is considered Coast Fi, whereby we don't necessarily have to put any more money into our investment accounts. We still do. Mm-hmm. So even on this limited income, we still manage to put about $300 a month into our investment portfolios. And so those are continuing to grow. And interestingly enough, that 2-year emergency fund, even though we went over budget on our scouting trip and everything else, it's like when you step out on faith and you tell the universe, look, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
You get it back. Money just loves us. It just comes. It just comes. Yeah. And so, it go down and then something would happen and boom, here's some checks. Checks are just flowing in, right? And it just keeps happening that way. So some of it, you've got to plan. There's some that you can't plan for, but you really can't operate in fear.
You can't.
Right? Fear will contract your world, as a friend of ours said. So when we stepped out, it's like the universe said, all right, you ready to do this? You really ready to do this thing? Yeah. So, and it just, things just fall in place.
What I found is that's really cool. Yeah. As far as living in Portugal, so you guys did you guys work on residency since you've been here?
So we have residency.
Okay.
Portugal grants you 2 years residency.
Okay.
And then you have to reapply, which is, you do it online.
Yeah, it's not really reapplying. It's more like renewing.
Yeah, renewing.
So unless you've done something stupid, it's pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, to get yourself checked out of the country.
Yeah, or you're gone too much.
Yeah.
So we're not here on a tourist visa. We did our scouting trip on a tourist visa. That was June 2022. I mean, when it was time to go, it was time to go. Mm-hmm. So we made the decision. We weren't going to move till 2025 when we reached full 5.
Yeah.
But I was tired. I just couldn't. And he was like, I want to leave before the next
I want
election.
to be out before 2024 election.
Yeah.
Right? Real talk.
I want to watch it from a distance.
Yeah.
So the holidays of December 2021, we made the decision. January 4th, I gave notice.
Yeah.
2022. February 1st, 2022, he gave notice. So we launched the YouTube channel March 20th, 2022. By April, we were done working. We were out. We were traveling by May.
Yeah.
I went to LA, took my dad, got him situated. June 4th, we landed in Lisbon.
Wow.
And I think we made the decision within a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because we were like, could we live here?
Yeah.
So, and we were staying on the other side of the river. So we were staying in a Lisbon suburb, so to speak. And we're taking the ferry over to the city center and, getting lost and just doing what we do, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest difference, why Spain over Portugal from a less pragmatic point of view, but you've got to really be in touch with what you really want.
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought I was a beach girl. I thought the Caribbean, retiring to the Caribbean would be a thing, or to the beach towns of Mexico, but I'm not. I'm a city girl. And I realized that traveling helps you realize who you are. Yes. Free time helps you realize who you really are. Right. And so I think one of the biggest things for us is we blend in here.
Yes. And we got here, on Friday? And I'm like, where did all these melanated people come from? Like, and people can't tell. Are we American? Are we African? Are we
They start talking to you in
Portuguese. And being in Madrid, it wasn't like that. Mm-hmm. It definitely wasn't like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to be viewed as an immigrant. Yeah. Just sight unseen, not sight unseen, but lips untalked. Because once I open my mouth, there's
judge the book by its cover. Yeah.
There's no doubt. But when you always look like a tourist, you're a walking wallet. Yeah. And I wanted to blend in. I wanted to be thought of as and integrate into the community. Mm-hmm. And so in our neighborhood, just like this morning, we went to throw away the trash. The fruiteria guy, boa tarde, bom dia. I can't remember what time it was. Whatever. Yeah. He knows us. The cafe guy waving at us. He knows us. The grocery store people. Where have you been? Mm. They noticed we had been gone to Spain, right, for a few weeks, and so. That's lovely.
At this point, this is home.
This is home.
Yeah, this is home for you all. What did the moving process look like? Or did you guys find, there's a huge community of resources here in Lisbon, which is one thing I really love. Like the Black in Lisbon or Black in Portugal group is huge.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys find, just work with a realtor, find accommodation, find neighborhoods first? What was the first step when you said, okay, we're moving abroad? Did you find that ahead of time? Or did you just get on the ground and start looking for your neighborhood and your accommodation?
So when we came on our scouting trip, so to speak, we stayed, like she said, across the river in Almada, and we stayed at Airbnb. Mm-hmm. Well, the people that had the Airbnb liked us so much, because we were here for a month. Yeah. And they liked us so much that the mother was like, we got to rent it to you guys long term. She wanted to rent it to us long term. Wow. We're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, we got, that one taken care of, so we can get other things together. Well, we went to Mexico because we had to go. We also have permanent residency in Mexico. Okay. So we had to go finish the process in Mexico so we could get our green cards. So went to Mexico, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, because we went to a meetup for Exodus Summit. Exodus Summit is a platform for Black women who want to travel abroad or take a sabbatical, and so we're there for the meetup, the first meetup in Cancun, and our immigration person tells us we used Gail from Relocate to Portugal. She's great, and she's like, okay, got your appointment August 4th. And we're like, oh, okay, so now I got to change my Airbnb.
Yeah.
Because she was talking about like August 7th. And so I said, we're going to have to leave a couple of days early.
Yeah.
So she sends us the list of everything that we need. I'm thinking that I've brought everything with me. Rick looks at the list and he's like, we got to get an FBI background check again. I'm like,
yeah, it only lasts for 90 days.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because we had panicked. It didn't look like, we didn't know what we were doing in January. It didn't look like they had any more appointments for all of 2022. Little did we know they released appointments. The San Francisco office, anyway, at the time, released appointments every month. So panicked, said, Mexico's plan B. February, we applied for our for temporary residency in Mexico. We got permanent. You have 6 months to complete that process, 4 months to complete the Portuguese process. So, so we're in Mexico, and it's like, how are we gonna get this stuff done? Now,
right.
I've been taking Spanish at this point for two and a half years. But you know, when the metal, when the rubber hits the road, and you're trying to do stuff like find where to get passport pictures and stuff like that, I'm just going to tell folks, join the Black Facebook groups.
Yes.
So there was a Blacks in PV, I think it's called, the Facebook group. We had joined that. We were in Puerto Vallarta. And they really did come through and help tell us where to get stuff. But in the meantime, like, where do you get copies done? And the FedEx Center, World Center was more like a closet, and they couldn't print. I mean, it's just a whole different thing. So we ended up in the hood in Mexico. I shouldn't say that. We ended up in a very working class neighborhood in Mexico to get things printed from the flash drive and all of that.
Yeah.
And my Spanish...
Handy,
I was like, we got it done. We were doing our own fingerprints on the card.
We had to do our own fingerprints.
Yeah, he was really good. I called the guy at FBI. I'm like, we're in Mexico. How do we get this done? He's like, no problem.
Yeah, FBI is they were very helpful.
They were very helpful.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So which was a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
We had to get something notarized. We had to get our passports notarized because we didn't want to leave them. So now we're scrambling around for that. Bottom line is everything is figure outable.
It is. It's amazing how much you can figure out at last minute when I guess the adrenaline is going.
And you get it done.
Yeah, you get it done.
Meanwhile, it is mandated, especially the San Francisco office at the time, now it's all of them, that you have a 1-year lease prior to applying for Portuguese residency.
Good to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's no joke.
Yeah.
And so we've got the Airbnb. Great. We're not going to have to pay before we get there because it's an Airbnb. Yeah. So, we told her, we guaranteed her we'll be there through her slow period.
Okay.
Well, there are certain things that the contract has to have in it. And she didn't have none of that stuff in it. And she was like, Namaste, Halisi. I'm like, Namaste, my behind. Like, look, our appointment, at this point, it was like Tuesday. Our appointment was the following Friday, and we still don't have a contract. So thankfully, and shout out to Heather of Black in Portugal, we had met folks through Black in Portugal and through friends that say, oh, I've got other friends who are moving to Portugal. So we met this couple. She's from Britain, he's from Brazil, and he had just gotten laid off. And he's like, let me help you. I've got time. Yeah. I said, okay, we're going to pay you. So he speaks Portuguese. Yep. So he's online, Idealista, and he's like, okay, we have a week to get this done. I'm just going to look at the apartments that are listed by the owners. So we can cut out the middleman because it works totally different here, right? There is no MLS. There are no corporate apartment buildings. That's just not really a thing here. I think I've met one person who lives in a corporate apartment building. Yeah. But so they're all of them are like condominiums, what we would call condominiums, right? And so that was Wednesday. Friday, we had a contract.
Oh my God.
So his name is Rossini. He started a business helping people find apartments. He will also be talking at the Move to Portugal Summit. And so we pay €13.25 for a 3-bedroom apartment.
3-bedroom? Oh my God.
10-minute walk from the city center.
Yeah.
And we have a lovely landlord. His family owns the apartment, and he and his family live in the apartment across the way, so they're always right there.
They're right there.
Well, they're on vacation now, I think, but yeah, I think he had been renting to students, and so that's another thing. We're very conscious on not overpaying.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to make it more difficult for folks on Portuguese salaries.
Locals, Portuguese.
So he sent us a template, and it was really the contract that he had for the students.
Gotcha.
So, which was 2019. We moved in 2022. We were only paying a couple of €100 more. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think he saw a little silver, and he's like, grown folk.
Yeah.
We want that. He sent us a contract before he had somebody else looking at the apartment that evening.
Wow.
And we already had the contract.
Yeah.
Or a sample.
Yeah.
And he's like, just put in the changes that you want, and I will put it in there.
Yeah.
Saturday, he was up really late putting it in. We got it and sent it to our immigration attorney, and they read it and said, oh, this is missing, added that. Monday, he took it down to the financia office, registered the contract. That evening, we got an email from the authorities, the basically kind of IRS of Portugal, saying, we received, you got your tax ID is now associated with this contract, and we recognize that you've paid XYZ.
Yeah, because the Airbnb apartment, it was a great apartment, but they didn't have it registered with Financia. Gotcha. And they have to have it registered with Financia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, they didn't have proof in any event, whether they had it registered or not, they didn't have proof. So that's another thing. It's got to be registered, and the embassy checks to make sure that everything is correct.
It's all well and good if you want to be here on a tourist visa for 90 days, stay there.
You can stay wherever.
But
if you want residency, that's what you have to have. And they want to make sure that you're committed. That's a lot of, the embassies don't exist for people who want to move there. They exist for their people who need their help in that country, right? Whatever country they're at. So the manpower and the finances that it takes for them to administrate this, they want to just make sure that you really want to move to Portugal. So I don't advise anyone to apply for residency who hasn't visited.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not only because you probably will get denied. So even if you've got the finances to say, you know what, I don't like this place, I'm going to leave, it's not about that. It's about you will probably get denied, because how do you know you're going to like it?
Exactly. And I noticed that what I'm seeing too is the Portuguese people of Lisbon don't want their city just turning into another foreigners owning every building, and every block, and it's just being redeveloped, and there's no real, they lose their culture essentially.
Exactly.
So for us and for our followers, we definitely want to make sure people want to integrate into these societies that you're planning to move to. So at the very least, a scouting trip, I think is needed.
Yes. And we find that the Portuguese folks are so gracious, so sweet, so caring. They go out of their way to help you, and we've just felt welcome.
Yeah. That's amazing. And here
it's figure outable. And we're in the city center. And this was a year ago. And don't you know, we asked for a 3-year renewal.
Because that price?
That price is
great. Oh, yeah.
However, some friends of ours moved in 2023.
Yeah.
And they're just a little bit outside of the city center. They're off the train, but they're closer to the beach.
Yeah.
Down in Oreias. And they have 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And they're paying $15.
Yeah.
Okay. So it definitely is within budget, but folks, you definitely need to plan for fluctuations in the currency rate if you're making US dollars.
Yeah.
So we, transfer chunks at a time so that we don't feel the everyday fluctuations or the month-to-month fluctuations.
Okay. So that's the next question I want to ask is getting set up over here, banking, phone plans, just general documents and stuff like that. Did you all take care of all that stuff? Like, I know a lot of times people spend so much in their transaction fees because they haven't switched their bank over, their phone plans, right? So how is that process of just getting set up over here? Did it take a little while, or you guys figured it out?
No.
You have to have your NEEF set up when you apply and stuff too, before you go to your BFS.
And that's like your identification number.
It's a tax ID.
Yeah, it's a tax ID.
Okay.
But it's different than a social security. Like, you can't steal somebody's identification with it.
Yeah, because when we first saw people giving, it's like,
you just give it out everywhere.
I think I saw it.
He's asking for an ID number. You want to whisper it.
Right? Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not supposed to.
Okay.
But you have to have a bank account and a NIF before you even apply.
Yeah.
We opened the bank account ourselves, and we had the NIF. We got the NIF way back in like February, March, and we didn't open the bank account until June when we came on our scouting trip.
Okay.
But we had our immigration person on speed dial in case we needed a translator. So she was standing by in case we needed a translator, but we didn't. Interestingly, he's Ricardo. It was Ricardo who spoke English at the bank. Yeah. So most of the time you will find someone there who can speak English. The younger people speak English for the most part. But and you've got to have that bank account in advance. And it was, they asked us for a lot of paperwork, but, proof of address and stuff like that. And we hadn't opened up a bank account in the United States in so long. We forgot they asked for the same stuff in the States.
They do.
You need your marriage license if you want both of you on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, it's all doable.
It's all doable. Okay.
And then we use Google Fi. So when we came on our scouting trip, we were on Google Fi, but then we got a local SIM.
Okay.
And you can get those pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. How are you liking Google Fi?
It's okay.
Okay.
It works on the ground. We still get local SIMs because we don't want to get turned off.
Yeah.
If you're gone too long, they will turn you off.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah.
So we try to just use it on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But then we got a local phone plan, and we missed the. They have Black Friday here. We missed the Black Friday special. We're going to try to catch it this year. Right, but we pay like 45, 50 euro for both phones.
Okay. So all in all, it sounds like you all have gotten well adjusted to Portugal, life in Lisbon. The great thing is there is a huge Black community here of Americans.
English-speaking Black folks,
English-speaking Black folks, right? Yeah, not everyone's American, but and then if you integrated too, it sounds like your neighbors, like you guys, respect you guys. Everyone's very friendly.
Yes.
And I've noticed the same thing too. People worry about racism in Europe and history, right? And it's just like, honestly, I haven't had any issues in Spain and here at all.
And we try to tell people too, it's like, because, sometimes you see the chatter on Facebook and all that, and everybody thinks it's just, it's a dream to live in Portugal, and they don't never say anything bad about it. And it's like racism is everywhere.
It is.
It truly is.
Anti-Blackness is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Anti-Black American is even on the continent. Yeah. Okay, so don't get it twisted. They love our culture. They want to do hip hop everywhere on the planet, but anti-Blackness is everywhere. Yeah. However, is it lethal?
Exactly. That's my biggest takeaway.
Is it lethal?
Is it going to kill you? Yeah.
So, here's another thing. Because there are so many Black folks in Portugal, all the hair care products, the barbers and all that, you want to get your hair twisted, you want to get your hair braided, all that stuff is here. Yeah. Easily found, very affordable. Our housekeeper charges us €8 per hour. So it's like what, $8.30? Yeah. I always pay her a little more because I can, and I want to show her I appreciate it, and because she's taking care of kids, right? But our barber, or my barber, I should say, he's Brazilian, Black Brazilian, and so I'm talking to him about racism because he's young. He's probably, I don't know, he's under 30. Okay, and a typical 24-year-old looking young man, couple tats here and there, and the swag, So I asked him, do you get harassed by the police? He said, yeah, sometimes. And then I asked, does it ever turn violent? Or do you know of anyone where it's turned violent? He's like, violent? No. No. He looked at me like I grew 3 heads. Well, what are you talking about? He said, but in Brazil.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's been here long enough that he was like, no. It's just no. What you doing?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it can be condensed into, there's xenophobia, there's also class privilege as well. Once you
Yes.
figure out, oh, you have money, you are obviously treated a little bit differently. But my biggest thing is racism here does not seem lethal. I don't have to worry about my kids,
Right.
as they get older. And if anything, maybe I have experienced racism. I just didn't understand it in Portuguese.
That's what we say. I don't know what you're saying anyway.
It's all Greek to me.
Exactly.
We're learning Portuguese. We've been taking lessons since January.
Yeah.
We don't believe that they should speak English. We're not one of those, right? We're not coming over here trying to colonize. But yeah, we don't if it's out of context, I'm not going to understand what they're saying.
Sure.
And we have been told by our Brazilian friends who speak English that, they'll get a little chewed from some people, but as soon as they hear them speaking English to their friends, the whole attitude changes. That's classism.
Yeah, absolutely.
As some folks call our YouTube channel a podcast because we interview people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, we go live every Sunday at 3:30 Eastern time and every other Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And the Thursdays are what we call short lives. In other words, we just answer one question. We don't really take questions from the audience, but on Sundays we take questions and it's more interactive. We go live because we don't want to edit.
Yep. It is such a pain.
And it was the way that we could start our YouTube channel and do the move and stay consistent.
Yeah.
And because of that, we've grown pretty fast.
Yeah.
And we just have to give a shout out to all of the YouTubers who have come on to, collaborate with us, and which helps us grow, hopefully helps them grow, and shown us love over the past year and a half. Because we went from 0 to almost 33,000 in a year and a half. And so we really feel good about that and are humbled by it as well. So we started a course called Beyond the Blame, Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence, to talk about how to do this thing if you don't have FIRE yet and don't know what FIRE is, don't know how to become financially independent. So it's 6 modules with pre-work, and it starts off with just changing your mindset and understanding your relationship with money based upon how you were raised. And we know it is African American centric.
Yeah.
So because we know the isms that our families have grown up with, right? Yeah. And so we address that. We talk about it. We work through it. It comes with monthly group coaching. So we talk about how to get out of debt. We talk about how to assess your spending, how to calculate your FI, how to figure out if moving abroad is part of your FI plan, how to integrate that. We talk about how to start a side hustle that fits your lifestyle, stock investing, and real estate investing.
That's amazing. A well-needed course. I need that course. Because like you said, it touches on the foundation of your mindset. And I don't think anything will change until our mindsets change.
Exactly.
And it's not just centered around living abroad. This isn't everyone's journey, but getting financially free should be everybody's journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And build generational wealth if you have, folks that you plan to set up to have a better life and not start from zero. Because our folks always start from zero.
Yeah.
We always start from zero.
You guys have achieved financial independence and still look like you got the bling. You know what I mean? Still look like you just went to get your hair cut, you got, stylish clothes on. I see the shoes as well. So you don't have to look like, you don't ever shop for yourself just because you're financially independent.
You really, or you have frugality.
Yeah.
Right. And it's about being mindful about your spending and really only buying things that will truly, truly bring you joy and not just buying things because you think that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Right. And so I figured out, I like bling, but I also like not having so much stuff in our house that it's hard to keep it neat, and then I can't figure out what to wear because, I forgot, I have dresses that still have the tags on them.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Come on. Really? Really?
It's not just my wife. Yeah.
So we're going to go to a subscription model in 2024. The people who already have Beyond the Bling will be grandfathered in because we're adding content, because we are creating a stock study group. Yeah. We bring in guest speakers every now and then to talk to us, on that group coaching once a month. So we're going to a subscription model. So if you're watching before 2024, you might want to get in on that. Perfect. That low price.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, Ric and Halisi, I really appreciate the both of you taking time out today to sit down with us. I think we got a lot covered. We're going to put this out. Let me stop recording, but we're going to put this out. October 20 is our launch date.
Okay. Lovely.
So